is the first Q1 annual investor review. It's the financial results from Etsy. For those that don't know, this is because Etsy has now shareholders. They have to report how they're doing and stuff. Now, a shareholder report I see as a kind of Pollyanna report. They have to make everything sound a little bit good, but there are always some good nuggets in here for us sellers. So I have the slides from the presentation. Last night, really late, I listened to the whole investor call, which is the presentation with a few of the Etsy team talking us through these slides, and the question and answer session at the end. So I have the notes that I made last night, and we're going to quickly go through this presentation, find out, are Etsy sales up? Are Etsy sales down? What is Etsy planning for the future? And yeah, let's just get into this. Oh, I just find this, let me show you. I basically just Google, wrong screen, Pam. What screen do we want? This screen? Why? My computer is being a pest. Oh, I see what it is. There we go. Right. So I basically just Google for Etsy quarterly results, and you'll get this page, Etsy.com financials quarterly dash results default. There you go. And you can see all the results from the year since Etsy became a shareholdery place. And then you can catch the webcast. It is boring. You can catch the press release, or what we are doing is looking at the presentation, which is the fun files what Etsy put up. So let's have a look. So this was released yesterday. The presentation is late at night UK time. So forward-looking statements, we can happily ignore them. The most important bit that everyone wants to know is Etsy selling more or less or somewhere in between? And basically, compared to year on year, last year, Etsy sales, GMS is how much money was brought around by us selling things. And it's 3.1 billion, which is minus 5% year on year. Now, the consolidated revenue is the money that Etsy makes. So that's the sales and also the things they sell to us, like ads or our listing fees increasing. And that was up 11%. So, okay. The the cynical inside of me says, although Etsy said they were increasing our fees to be able to do more customer support, and they potentially are doing more customer support, potentially they increased our fees because they saw the slowdown coming and they wanted to say, our profits are still up. I don't know. I might be being cynical there, but that's my kind of feeling. Anyone with any sense who could predict anything could tell that after the global unpleasantness of 2020, where Etsy did fantastically well and has kind of been keeping that momentum, but obviously keeping that momentum means there's going to be some dips and things change. So yeah, they did a thing to make sure that this number was in the pluses. So 3% down on a currency neutral basis. Yeah, but it's 5% down in real people's money. Yeah, so what they did say in the presentation was that this, when they predicted in the end of last year report, they do like a prediction of what's going to be happening. And based on what they were seeing in February when they made the predictions, February was really tough, which is saying February wasn't good at all. March did a little bit better. So overall, things were about average to what their pessimistic predictions were saying. So, yeah, March was potentially a little bit better than February. Uh, Many people are not seeing that. I don't know if the numbers are on here. I didn't write them down, but there are basically slightly more sellers now. There's been an increase in sellers for a pretty much plateau in number of buyers. So even if the selling was a little bit more, there's kind of less people for it to go round to. Well, there's more people taking the same slice of the pie. So that can be something that's causing the sales to go down a bit. But it feel like the sales to go down a bit for many of us. Also, I will say later on they're talking about the algorithms, and that did have me thinking, as they keep on improving the algorithms, what that sort of means is they're showing the items most likely to sell. So some people that were being shown before that have good but not good enough listings might be seeing a drop off in sales, as well as the algorithms get better and better and basically give the biggest chunk of the sales to one or two sellers, sort of. Anyway, there's this whole keep commerce human, which is what they've talked about before. They want to be best in class for search and discovery. So this is their sort of focuses: human connections and a trusted brand. There is mention of trusted brand, and they want to say that Etsy is a collection of unique items. Um, the goal is, what they're focusing on is they want Etsy to be an everyday shopping destination, because the majority of the people who are shopping on Etsy are spending like a couple of $100. They're maybe coming in a couple of times a year. Whereas Josh Silverman said he wants it to be the kind of place that you think of first. Now that sounds cool, but I'm like, should we worry? What does that mean about the type of items that are being sold on Etsy? We know this is a big thing. Um, and this was, oh boy, yeah, I don't know if he regrets saying this, but Josh asked you to think about what's going on with Etsy. He asked you to think about your last purchases that you made, like recently, and have a search on Etsy and see, could you have got it better and cheaper on Etsy? Well, I don't know about you, but my last purchases were things like dog food and stuff that shouldn't be being, like electrical things that shouldn't be being sold on Etsy. But I probably could have got on Etsy. So yeah, I don't think you meant to say that. Um, well, you did mean to say that, you just didn't think it through. We don't necessarily want to be able to buy everything on Etsy, but I get what they're saying. They want it to be the first place where you're looking for this kind of thing. Um, Additional work to knock down barriers and make Etsy more top of mind. So this is what some people are saying is the problems why Etsy's not the first place people come to. So I only come to Etsy for a specific need. Absolutely. I think, let me know in the comments, why do you shop on Etsy? I'll generally occasional gifts for like a real crafty person, and some supplies I can't get anywhere else, but I don't use Etsy very much, which is bad. It takes a lot of work to find the best things. Yes, search is not the best at all. And other people say now worry that something will go wrong on Etsy. That for me hasn't been an issue, but I get, especially as there's more bad press. So the ambition is for Etsy to become this starting point. So instead of people looking on Amazon and eBay, they'll come to Etsy instead. So, exciting product development roadmap to improve customer experiences and engagements in 2023. So, welcome the new buyers to the joy of Etsy. So, obviously, try and make the experience good when they actually come into it. Um, Deepen buyer curiosity and engagement. This is talking about the improving the algorithms so that the more people shop and interact on Etsy, the more the algorithms learn about them and are able to show them better stuff. I'm just looking at my notes here. Possibly this wasn't from this bit, but we'll see. They are investing more in search, so expect more changes in the search algorithm. I think there's a really cool slide coming up. But I did mention in my predictions video talking about using more AI, and they are already using AI and large language models. But they want search to be like a retail boutique. We've spoke about this. They're talking about how you're able to, rather than search for some keywords, Bell to talk to it as if it were the person helping you in the shop. So you say kind of what you're looking for. You can share pictures with it and stuff, which is, what, oh, I kind of like this kind of thing. So you can share pictures. And rather than hundreds of listings, a little boutique selection of results. And he did even mention, and I think these things are totally in the infancy, but when you get your search results page to be able to go, yeah, I like that, but how about that in a cat shape instead of a dog shape or something, which is more natural to how you look at things. So that is going to be interesting. It's going to have some hiccups. It's something for us to watch out for. I don't think it's anywhere near here yet, but it sounds interesting and it sounds fun. So basically, there's going to be a lot more learning about things. Instill trust when transacting with us. They are talking about featuring the purchase protection program a bit more. It does seem in general to be being positive, apart from I have whole videos about this, but if your item isn't eligible for the purchase protection program, for instance, you can't use Etsy shipping labels and you don't have tracking numbers, or your items are over the price, it's $250, then you're not eligible for the partner protection program, but your customer might well be. So if something goes wrong and Etsy decides to refund, they take the money from you. Otherwise, for the rest of us, it seems pretty good. It really helped me out over Christmas, where the Royal Mail was having strikes and shipping was an absolute nightmare. Whenever customers contacted me, I did my usual, give it a week, let me know. Okay, you're eligible for this through Etsy. Here are the steps you have to take. So that was cool. And be the platform sellers love to sell on. So this is one of their focuses. I know we're all a little jaded and cynical about Etsy. I'll drop this in just now. Etsy's a company is trying to make money. I get that. I don't think they're evil overlords or anything. They are trying to make money though. And they do make some missteps. And it's the kind of, for those of us who were in Etsy in the early days, it's going to feel totally different. It really does. Etsy was pre-2010. It was a fun place. It's not so much now, but they're here to try and make money. And they've got so many different teams that people will have ideas for doing things. So it's kind of difficult. So they're saying, this is our focuses. So they're wanting to make it a good place for sellers as well. Now, I know sellers we will all say it hasn't been feeling like that. There's going to be some missteps and things, but this is a point of their focus. So they will have teams thinking about this. Does it mean that things are going to be great for us sellers? Not necessarily, but they're working on it. What they did mention was a lot more communication things. I can't remember where this comes in the slides, but it was interesting. And I have to say, I kind of agree with it as a high level thought thing. While they're talking about like really improving the search algorithms and everything, that's improving the algorithms to be able to show buyers the best versions of things. And so they also want to be able to take that back, what the algorithms are learning is what buyers really like. They want to be able to take that back and train sellers to be able to create the type of listings that buyers want to buy. If that so that does kind of make sense. They want us all to create better listings that people are more likely to buy. So they're talking about keeping on doing all the training things that they've been doing, the stuff that's been working. So like the Etsy Up, which was a training thing, which many of us got excited, tried to watch, and it was boring as sin. But hopefully they'll get better with all of that. Oh yes, here we go. This is the search thing I was talking about. Search improvements are central to this roadmap, continuing to make Etsy feel more made for you. We intelligently blend results from multiple search engines that are good at solving different problems. So they're adding generative AI coupled with dynamic information retrieval. So um, here's sort of a roundup of the algorithms. And I know people went mental. Let's get into that in a second. So, text base, exactly the words you searched for. Are they in the listing title? Here we go. That's the thing. And then when it was mentioned about XWalk, people went mental, going, "Oh no, it's a new algorithm." This had been happening. This had been rolling out. It was just mentioned, but so the algorithms aren't changing in a massive chunk. They're just tweaking and changing and squeezing little extra things in. But how could interactions between buyers, listings, and shops help us find the right listing for you? So that's the personalizations kind of. So, what did other people do when they searched for that term? What did they like? What did people like you like? That kind of thing. Neural IR utilizes large language models. That's that's the buzzword for just now. Large language models. Large language models are Chat GPT type things, but I can see they're talking about, rather than searching keywords, chatting. um, Chatting in that search bar, which is really interesting. So do we understand what you're looking for, even if you don't know how to describe it? Which is cool. I'm looking forward to see how. I, I don't know. Like, can it get inside my head? Because I apparently don't think like other people. The problem with large language models is they average. They are looking at what is the average, what is the normal of what people are thinking about. So they're really, really clever and awesome and great fun, but it might blandify everyone a bit. But we'll see. And Etsy teams are working on generative AI, extreme MLN, and GNN models. What is that? So IR is information retrieval, extreme multi-label learning, and graph neural networks. Okay. How can we move from keywords to conversions? How can we move from keywords to conversions? So that is interesting. I totally get it. Rather than just saying, they did. Where is that? I don't know where they mentioned it, but they did specifically mention, like, when people are searching for something like gift for mom, that is clearly a massive keyword that loads of people search for, but they tend to have to go back in and search again because they don't see what they were looking for. So they see a huge page of things. They want to be able to narrow that down and go, when someone's searching for a gift for mum, what are they actually really searching for? And so make that even better, not based on who has the best tags for gift for mum, but who has the best items that are giftable for a mother, kind of. Um, Yeah, so this is the whole boutique kind of thing. I'm jumping ahead with these things, but we could bring the human aspect of shopping malls to e-commerce. Shopping malls that are dying or have pretty much died. Buyers could tell us what they want in real time and adjust their searches, show us images during the conversation, and visualize products that might be similar to. So that's exactly what I said. they're hoping something like the search bar is going to be more like a kind of chat bar. I'm thinking of something for my mum. She likes this, that, and the other thing. Oh yeah, that's interesting, but she really likes this color, and I, I think this is a long way away, but I could be surprised. It's interesting. That is so funny though, because just literally, what, a week ago, I was talking about how changes to Etsy might involve like Chat GPT type stuff. I had no idea this was on the cards. Um, while still early days, you can imagine how these advancements could impact Etsy search and customer experience. I absolutely can, yeah. Oh, I didn't. Yeah, here we go. Hi there. If you'd like more bridesmaid gifts, we've put together collections. So yeah, if you've searched for things, then it's showing you some collections. So it's more chatty. Looking for more ideas? Let me help. Share your style preferences for your rug, and I'll be happy to come up with some ideas for you. Okay. Oh, here, yeah, I kind of like that. So they've told they want a green geometric Moroccan runner rug. So tap on the rug you prefer, and I'll find you some great rugs available on Etsy. So, what kind of thing are you looking for? Here's some options. Now pick the ones you like the look of, and I'll find you some similar options. So that does sound cool, because a lot of people try and narrow down their searches, but it's really difficult. And quite a lot of the time, you don't necessarily know what styles and things are actually called, or what the processes are. So you could search a little more broad and then go, yeah, that kind of thing, like that there. I think that sounds really cool. Sounds really cool. Working to unlock the best of each, the human curation at scale. Oh yeah, this was interesting. They mentioned editor picks. Because a lot of people ask this. So editor picks are picked by humans at Etsy. So if you have that Etsy's pick on your item, it has been picked by an actual human. Um, but what they're doing is they're showing the AI this, as it were, so the AI can start to learn what kind of things that the editors are picking. So this is what type of so the rules that they look into when they're picking an Etsy pick is they're looking for quality photographs, great craftsmanship, the shop follows rules. So that's a kind of how to be picked for an editor's pick. And they're going to teach the machines what they're not, it's not to sit there and type in, here's the criteria, but sort of let the machine sit and look over their shoulders and go, oh yeah, I see, you like those kind of things. So the machines are going to start learning how to pick out the Etsy picks, because they do say that the Etsy picks do convert more than other listings, possibly because they're shown more and they have that sign there, but also because they're curated by a human and they look kind of good. So the machines are going to learn how to pick out these kind of things, and they did say they want to teach sellers how to make their listings better so they look like things that could be editors' picks. I hope that makes sense. And it does, to me, it does make sense. They want to make Etsy better. So they want to make sure that we're creating good listings that, with cool pictures and things. Now, it is probably going to sort of be a little difficult for us, because that's going to mean there's going to be more trends in photography. Like there always has been for years. Everything had to be the stark white backgrounds, and now there's more, like, as you can see, this editor's pick, it's against a marble wall. It isn't, is it? It's against a marble photography backdrop. But so the styles in pictures change. I did really think, hearing all of this, and they're specifically talking about photographs. They're definitely talking about photographs. And I did think, the machine learning's wanting to look at photographs. So we're going to make sure that our pictures look good, but they're also clear. So I think it's going to be a good idea to experiment with having white background, really plain pictures, and also these slightly nicer, slightly lifestyle ones, because the machine might not be so smart to start with, and it might not recognize things as well as we hope it should. So play around and see what it's going to recognize. Yeah, did say Etsy showing more category specific things. Oh, right. So I said about the gift for mum thing. So if someone searches for gift for mum, then this thing could come back and rather just say, here's a list of things, what's your mum's hobbies? So, give us some ideas of the hobbies she has, or jewelry when someone just searches for jewelry or earrings or something. So, there could be some options to pick or a question asked of you. I'm guessing to start with, it'll be options to pick. So, gift for mum, there'll be some options of the type of categories that a mum who's giftable might like for people to pick through. And jewelry, there'll be some options of types of styles, but then as the machine model type comes in, it'll be, what kind of things is your mum into? What colours does she like? I can totally see that. That sounds cool. That sounds a long way away. We'll see. Etsy overall brand awareness is quite high, but unprompted association with actual purchase occasion is low, even in our largest categories. Um, so what they're saying is people have heard of Etsy, but when you say, what website would you go to for gifts? Only 11% of people are in the group asked in the US. Only 11% said, oh, they go to Etsy for gifts. Only 3% said, oh, they go to Etsy for home and style. So this is something they're wanting to increase, not just the awareness. Oh, have you heard of Etsy? Yes, I've heard of Etsy. Where do you go for gifts? I go to Etsy is what they want. I don't know where, but they showed us some of the new Etsy ads, and basically what they're focusing on. The ads, they had four or five ads, and they were all sort of very different, like old people, young people, kids, and everything. But what they were focusing on was home style and gifts. Specifically, there would be like a bit across the screen that said home, and it would show something for the home for that person. Style, maybe a bit of clothing or an earring or something for that person. And gifts, same same thing. And the tagline for each of the ads was Etsy has it. Cheesy, but ads are cheesy, so fair enough. And working to instill more trust. Yeah, so 90% of buyers think that Etsy is for handmade, which is 10% are thinking there's this mass produced problem. They did say, I do believe it in the large scale, and it does make sense. Mass produced, Etsy wants to increase trust in people buying things. Mass produced items do weaken trust. So everyone's saying Etsy lets all these drop shippers in because it makes them money. They are aware that in the long term, this could hurt the brand of Etsy. So they have got algorithms to remove violating items. We spoke about that in the in the trust thing a couple of weeks ago. Last year they removed more offending items than the year before. And of course, it is meaning Etsy is pulling listings, you know, shutting down listings that are okay. Because that's what algorithms do. They mess up sometimes. So whatever you feel about it, it does make sense to me that they want rid of these things. Not saying, oh, Etsy makes so much money on all the fake drop shipped things. from those numbers, these number 2 slides up, from the numbers of people are coming to Etsy for these things, it is so little that they want to build this up, that rather than the number of drop shippers who are scammy stores anyway and probably not doing good customer support, that's a market that makes money. But there's more than 90% of the people in the US, and it's about the same in the UK, and it's even more in the rest of the world, but about 90% are still not thinking of Etsy yet. So that's a much bigger market than these scammy things. So it does make sense. We'll wait and see. I'm cynically hopeful. Let's see. It's I don't know how big the problem is, but it certainly looks big. Etsy picks should never be of mass-produced things. So if you see them, I'm going to do a search and see if I can find any. But yeah, they're working on it. But here, yeah, so keeping Etsy handmade and special. So remove the stuff that violates. So this is one of their focuses, to instill trust. And the protecting transactions, they're going to promote the purchase protection more. So hopefully that'll mean when someone's on your page looking on your listing looking to buy, it'll say this is covered by the Etsy purchase protection. So if anything goes wrong, now I know people might sigh and dislike that, and yes, the way the purchase protection is just now really, really helps scammers. There's no way around saying that. It helps scammers scam. They can get their money easily. So hopefully Etsy will learn from that. And improving shipping experience, timeliness, and cost. So they're wanting to get better predictions of creation times, which I kind of don't like that, because I've given myself a fair bit of wiggle room. So if I get a big run of orders, I have time to make them all. And customers are more happy if you say it's going to take X number of weeks. Hit the mic. Say it's going to take X number of weeks to create something and it takes less. Customers are more happy than that, than the other way around. But they want to give customers good predictions of creation times and shipping times, and also to improve the shipping experience. They did just quickly gloss over, but say, and show local items for faster shipping times. They didn't say if they're going to have an option for people to filter by that, or now we already know in some countries, the UK is one, which I have been very thankful of. It very much helps us. But if people search for something, they're more likely to see a UK item, because UK people prefer not having to wait for things. So they might be increasing that. They didn't say, they just kind of glossed over that a little bit. Oh yeah, here's all the education things I mentioned, doing things to improve. So virtual events, training, and everything, to say here's how you can possibly make your listings better to make them more like the things that sell. So Etsy Up, virtual events, all that kind of thing. I did have something. Yes, they did mention. Happily, they said to make me an offer feature for vintage. If you've missed that, yeah. Thankfully, people only had to opt in. They weren't automatically opted in, and it was for vintage only. But a million listings opted into the make me an offer feature, which is, I hate it. I hate it very much, because people are bad at pricing already. And if you put up the price, how often have we heard people say, I sold this item and I've lost money because they didn't understand the fees? So if they put up an item at a price that's already too low, and someone comes in and lowballs them, someone comes in and makes an offer, they're not going to make an offer that's higher, are they? So they make an offer, the person accepts it and finds out they lose a whole chunk of money. So yeah, don't like the make me an offer thing. Yes, so they talked a little bit. There's the Etsy ads. The Etsy has it. That's going to be the focus of the ads. They also talked about famous people, influencers, and everything curating collections. They mentioned in 2023, I believe Martha Stewart is going to be curating more than 20 collections. So if your style is something that she likes, that could be an option. I mean, being in a curated find will give you a little bit more exposure, but it's only going to be it's like being featured for anything. It's only going to be a very small amount of sellers. But if if you get into that group, you're going to do pretty well for sure. Um, I doodled a little puking in my mouth emoji. The thing that Josh said here, sorry Josh, but he did say Etsy, that it was built on joy, and that just sounded, yeah, whatever. Little pukey emoji. Um and yeah, and they feel they'll be able to encourage people to come to Etsy as an alternative from getting mass produced goods. And I can just hear people laughing there with this whole explosion of complaints in the media and how easy it is to find mass produced goods on Etsy. So, but yes, people are searching for handmade specifically. People are coming to Etsy wanting handmade and they're not finding it. But this is the focus, to bring people to Etsy for handmade. So hopefully this does mean they're going to try and deal with the situation. And then we came on. That was all Josh Silverman's slides. Well, there's a bit on Reverb and LO7. Yeah, nothing much to say. They're doing okay. They're making changes. I think is it Depop? Yes, Depop. They're doing a feature called Repop, which is kind of fun. So if you bought something from them and like wore it for an event and put it back on Depop, you can say, "Hey, look, I got this on Depop. I got this and I'm redoing it," which is supposed to be a good thing. I suppose it kind of is, rather than yeah, rather than just chucking things out. People get something, they wear it a couple of times and then pass it on again. But I don't know how many times how much I want my used clothing to be. Yeah, so here's the numbers again. This was Rachel doing the slides. I have to say, the presentations are boring, so boring, because they're just reading off their auto cue, which I get. I have an auto cue, but it's like every 5 minutes of reading, just reading like this and very boringly, and then it's like, oh, put some personality in, and then reading boringly again. So anyway, it's difficult to make slides interesting, but yeah, just put a bit of thingy into it. So here we go. I love this. They're now going. Last year they were talking about year on 3 years ago, comparing to 2019, and they're still comparing to 2019. But anyway, so here's the GMS. How's it done? It was 3.2 billion last year. It's 3.1 billion this year. But revenue's up a wee bit because they're taking more money off of us. And earnings before taxes, EBITDA, which sounds like my neighbour trying to learn to say aeroplane. But yeah, that's doing okay too. So Etsy's making its money. And here you can see the chunk, the 11% revenue increase was, now that's about 3/4 of that was driven from the transaction fee increase. So without it, it would have been very little. And then there's a big chunk from Etsy ads as well. So I'm not seeing a driver to make Etsy ads better for us because they're using Etsy ads to make revenue. And lower year. Oh, and this is what came off offset the negatives. Lower year-on-year GMS partially offset by the other revenue. So because we sold less, that gives Etsy less revenue, but it's only a tiny bit, basically. They're hiring. I possibly heard from a secret source that they have got rid of some people in some technical roles, and they've been bringing in some people in some customer support roles, which kind of might explain why there's been so many glitches. But yeah, they've been hiring people. And they're talking about their adverts. Return on investment from ads increased over 40%. So yeah, the ads are doing okay to attract, retain, and reactivate buyers. I can't say much here. They're doing their best. The number of buyers did drop ever so slightly, but yeah, it's been a difficult year. I'm going to give them that. Etsy GMS, yes, we've already seen this. It's down a bit from the same time last year, and before anyone goes, oh no, what's it like? That just now is feeling much quieter. It's pretty normal that quarter one is a little higher than quarter two and is a little higher than quarter three. And then quarter four is the biggest of the month. That's your Christmas buying time. So yeah, don't be saying things are looking quiet. Yeah, things are looking quiet. That's what Etsy does. That's the normal of sales on Etsy. It is quite a seasonal site, and I get why they're wanting Etsy at front of mind so that it'll be less just seasonal. So to kind of boost up this bit as well. Yeah, this is good, and if people come looking for gifts, then this will be boosted. But if you're looking for home and style, that's things that people buy from themselves all year. So yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, this was 46% of sales on Etsy were to a buyer or seller who wasn't in the US. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely growing outside the US. Strong growth in Germany and France, not so much in the UK. But that's because the UK's already had strong growth in the past, and they're focusing on growing Germany and France. So yeah, cool. And the GMS, the sales not from the US is actually up 3%, but that was dropped slightly because I think the sales for the UK was down a wee bit, and it's the rest of the world that's pushing it up. So that's pretty cool. Active buyers grew year on year for the first time since quarter four. So quarter one active buyers is up 1%. And I'll see where the active sellers number is. I think that's coming up soon, but 1% is nothing. So yeah, new buyers is down a bit. Reactivated buyers is up a wee bit. But how much they're spending per each one of those, I don't have a calculator here, but per each one of those people, they're spending 5% less than they were last year. So that does mean that's where, well, we know the GMS is down a bit. I was going to do some calculations. I don't have to. They've already given us that number. I'm an idiot. But yeah, each one of these new buyers is spending 5% less. And there is slightly more sellers. So yeah, there is less money to go around to more people. Yes, healthy balance sheet. We don't care about your balance sheets. There we go. Yeah, so that was the slides. Oh, another thing, I took a note from the presentation when they're talking about the money internationally. They're saying that US buyers spend more per person than international buyers. That number that I just went away from. Yeah, that average number, GMS per active buyer, it's slightly higher for the US than it is international. Don't think it makes much of a difference. And yeah, the only other thing in the questions and answers and everything, there wasn't anything huge there, which was interesting. I often people ask the questions and you see the things they didn't want to talk about in there, but they did talk about in the slides mass produced things on Etsy, and that's the big question that everybody has. One interesting thing, they were talking about the new Sell on Etsy app. We all know the old one's going away. They're talking about the new one. And I think I know why they're pushing it, because they did mention the new app enables Etsy to quickly add new tools and data. So they're wanting this new app to be the thing that helps explain to you how you could make your listings better. So it sounds like the old app wasn't a platform that they were going to be able to make changes on very quickly. This happens a lot. The old apps are built on old programmy things, and they're not as flexible. So they had to. This is probably why they had to do the whole new app, so that it's something that's more flexible. It's easier to add things on. Anyway, that's my take. That is like 45 minutes of me droning on. You could have almost watched the presentation for that. But let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I don't think it's awful. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this large language model AI type stuff goes. I really think it's a long time away. I think they were just mentioning it to say that they were doing something, but that's my take. Let me know what you think.